keynote speaker at the United Bible Society's World Assembly in 2000, hosted by the Bible Society of South Africa. We're now joined by the Chief Executive Officer, Dirk Gevers. A very good morning to you, Mr. Gevers. How is the Bible Society processing the passing of the Archbishop Desmond Tutu?
Good morning, and thank you so much for inviting me to share with you. Well, together, I think with all the people of our country and the global community, we're mourning the loss of a leader and a friend, Archbishop Desmond, one who was a friend, of course, of the Bible Society, but a friend to us all, and someone who really embodied and lived in his life and ministry the values of God's word. So we mourn, but we also celebrate a life and a ministry which has served us as the people of South Africa so well.
Just remind us.
I think, sharing these feelings. You know, Archbishop Desmond, as you mentioned, was a keynote speaker at the World Assembly of the United Bible Societies back in 2000. A very special time in our history, and just something about his approach, and his common touch for someone who's really, in many respects, I mean, some of my colleagues globally have described him as a giant, as a voice in our time, as an icon. But this common touch, I mean, he actually began his speech at the 2000 World Assembly talking about prostate cancer, because I think he had just probably recently been diagnosed, and that was how he entered into his speech at this World Assembly. So it just tells us something about Archbishop Desmond and the person he was.
Just take us back to that moment, because he had this uncanny knack of introducing difficult conversations with humor. What was his?
Well, exactly, and it just put everybody. Look, I wasn't personally there, but I've had our colleagues who were there at the time have recounted this to me. How he just immediately put this diverse community of people from all over the world in this time of transition in our own history as a country, but immediately just put everybody at ease and everybody at rest, just talking about this very human thing. And I think that was one of the gifts that Archbishop Desmond had. He could bring everybody, he could ground everybody in a sense and bring kind of everybody together into the same room. But at the same time, just remind us all of these fundamental principles of truth and of justice, which were unwavering. I remember another personal experience of the Archbishop when I was at university, and he spoke to us all, and it struck me then already how he had the way of making people feel uncomfortable, and when we needed to feel uncomfortable, but it was the discomfort that truth brought to complacency. So as I said just now, he's someone who really embodied the principle and lived consistently without fear or favor.
A very important...
the principles of God's word.
Very important point that you bring up of his ability to just balance out the uncomfortable and the comfortable. And we thank you very much for your time this morning. Dirk Gevers is the Chief Executive Officer.
And of course, we mustn't forget, if I may just mention, that he did publish in his name some children's Bible stories as well, which is the Bible Society's privilege to distribute. So he cared for the young and the old.
Absolutely. Dirk Gevers is the Chief Executive Officer of the Bible Society of South Africa. Let's take you